This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Detroit is the greatest!
Straight up light you on fire for a Coney dog right now.
Yes. Hello. How you doing?
McCarty comes back to Neiman on front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! A goal! Down McCarty!
Stafford takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Motor City Sports Rant, Detroit Sports Podcast Network, and .com. I am Jason Jarvie. Follow me on Twitter at Jarvie the King. Sitting across from me, John the Doc Macaroon.
I am Smack Talker Skywalker, and I got a Mike Saber for a hater.
Shut up.
That's what I say to that.
Come on.
We battle back and forth with our drops.
Fellow Spartans should stick together, especially after what we witnessed with how the NFL treated our guy, Connor Cook.
We were disrespected this past weekend.
I would expect more from you, but whatever. That's how you roll.
Hey,
Okay.
that is how I roll. I've been taught by the best about drops, so I try to bring it.
So this is the Motor City Sports Rant. This is episode 60. Comes out every single Tuesday. Have to address something real quick. Want to give thanks to Vinny Stubbs. Came in here for 59 strong episodes, but he's now going to focus on the Vinny Stubbs Show, which is a great podcast that's going to come out every single Sunday. Yeah, he's leaving us. Unfortunately, like I said, this past weekend, I got to actually drive to Livonia for something. That's a good 50-minute drive. So to come out here week in, week out, I give him credit, but he's going to now focus, because of our success. He's branching out to the Livonia Park Studios out there.
The Livonia Park Studios.
This
is the Laurel Park Studios.
Exactly. He's got to focus on his project there. We were able to set him up over there so he can do the Vinny Stubbs Show. He'll still be a contributor regularly here on the Motor City Sports Rant, just not coming in here each and every week. So we give him great props. I'm going to miss him around here each and every week.
Stop the clapping.
Stop the clapping.
No, and I'll be branching out to my East Point Studios pretty soon too. We'll be debuting coming back.
Season 2
of the Fantasy Nerds will be coming out on Friday.
That's right, where you'll break it down. Sponsored by the Fan Up Network. Definitely check us out on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. You can see what they're doing. You can follow them on Twitter at Fan Up Network. The Fantasy Nerds Podcast, sponsored by them, will come out this Friday and every Friday until the end of the football season, starting in May. I don't think there's too many going on regularly, so you'll be the first, and I know it'll be one of the best.
I know we'll be breaking it down pretty early. We'll look at what went on last year, kind of some of the hits, some of the misses, and with the NFL draft that just happened, we'll see where those guys are going to fit in with this year's fantasy season. And that's a good spin-off point for our conversation. We got to talk about the Lions because the NFL draft is essentially our Super Bowl. It's the one thing that we look forward to every season, other than the opening day when our season is essentially over right there. I mean, am I right?
Exactly. And especially right now with Bob Quinn, a new regime, what's going to happen? What's the philosophy? And so that first pick was a pick that everyone kind of knew would happen. There was a question whether the Lions should move up, when Tunsil started to slide. But the Lions draft
Tunsil, that guy cost himself about $10, $11 million.
We will definitely talk about that. But Bob Quinn went up there, made a safe play, and the first round pick that they got, 16, Ohio State lineman Taylor Decker is a beast of a man. A lot of people, when I talk to him about that pick, are a little bit concerned that he's not a ready-made starting left tackle, which is the position that a lot of us are looking at because of the ills of Riley Reif. But this is a guy with growth, could potentially be the left tackle of the future, but he could be a starter right away at right tackle.
Oh, I definitely think he's a starter guarantee. He's going to be at least the starting right tackle come, game one. What is it? Game Sunday, September 11th at Indianapolis Colts. Taylor Decker is going to be on that line, and he's going to be in the rotation. I still expect to see a lot of Michael Ola, but maybe he makes this gigantic push and pushes Riley Reif, because we've always said that Riley Reif would be a better either left guard or a right tackle. And maybe best case scenario, obviously, Taylor Decker comes in. He's amazing. He's the left tackle for the next 15 years. And Riley Reif moves over to the right tackle, and our offensive line is essentially shored up.
Now, he comes from a great pedigree, Ohio State. He's widely regarded as a smart football player, a guy that can be a very much an addition in the run game. In the passing game, might need a little bit of work, need to work on pad level, need to work on some technique in order to really fulfill his potential. But with experience and with his potential, this guy's got a super high upside. He's a guy that the Lions are going to probably count on to be there for a good 5 to 10 years. I was happy with that pick. It's a good, safe pick for your first one. I was a little bit concerned with kind of how Bob Quinn's demeanor kind of shook out, holding a bat, being a little bit nervous. This is a guy that kind of has done this before.
It's his first draft. He's got to do
What'd
something.
you be nervous about? Well,
you have a franchise who hasn't won a playoff game since 1990. Yeah, you're going to be nervous. I mean, but Bill Belichick, if he came in here, he'd probably be a little nervous. He wouldn't say anything, but Bill Belichick would be nervous drafting for the Lions.
Why?
Because you never know what you're going to get.
8 hours a day since probably the middle of February, you're focused on the draft. You have a team of people. Everyone knew you were going to take Taylor Decker. The draft kind of slotted in a way where you could have maybe made a couple moves to move up. You could have maybe took some phone calls to move down, but once it shook out, they didn't even take their time. There was like a good 5 minutes left, and boom, the pick was in. So I really don't get why he was nervous, but I like the pick. I'm pretty safe.
Taylor Decker is the safe pick.
Safe pick.
There really wasn't a pick out there that I would have. There really isn't a pick there that I would have said, yeah, that's a way better pick than Taylor Decker. Shaq Lawson is one guy. I liked him, but he is a little undersized. I think he would have brought a few more question marks than Taylor Decker. I think 16, as we got him in the second round, 16 would have been way too early for Ashawn Robinson or Jerron Reed. And trading, I don't think trading up would have been an option, because I think this team, where it is right now, you need to get as many prospects as possible. And even if you're giving up your first and your third and your fifth, I think you're giving up way too much there to maybe go up and take a chance on Laramie Tunsil. And from everything that they're saying is that the guy is a pretty good character, and he's going to be a great left. He's a starting left tackle in the NFL. I think Taylor Decker, he's the safe pick, and I think that's what you have to go. That's what you have to go with right now for the Lions.
Yeah, and so, when we were looking at the draft and who they could take, a lot of us were debating, well, could we get Conklin? Well, obviously that scenario was definitely removed from the table when Tennessee moved up to get him. And all due respect to Conklin, that was awesome to see that a team like Tennessee, and if you look at their draft, wow, that's what a draft looks like when you want to build a team. A lot of talent, and that game versus Tennessee, the Lions have, is not. I had it penciled as a win, but when you look at what they got and what they could do, my goodness, it's going to be a challenging game. So now, you say, if it's going to be a lineman, it's going to be Conklin. But then the storyline of the draft started to play out in that the guy that at one time was regarded as a number one pick, offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil, had a severe, I think now it came out that it was his fired ex-financial planner that got into his phone, gets into his phone minutes before he's, the NFL draft starts, and a picture of him smoking a bong.
Not just a bong. It was a gas mask.
A gas mask bong.
He took a gigantic rip.
Pictures and a video surfaced right before as he's sitting there.
He was blown out from that picture. Even if it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Dude, the guy.
When that started happening and playing out, I was like, you know what? I'm actually shocked that no one ever really talked about a cyber attack live before someone's special moment via social media. You believe it? What's next? What could happen? Someone that was close to you obviously knew your password. And now it's a simple fix. Right before anything big goes on, you change all your passwords, make sure your people do all that so that nothing like that ever happens again. But why are these athletes taking videos and stuff like that and keeping it on your phone? That's one thing. But the thing that happened next with his Instagram was out of this world. The text messages that he had with his coach talking about money at Ole Miss, and this all played out live, and he had to answer for it. And you see what happened. He was forthright, and he said, yeah, it was me in the picture, and yeah, I made a mistake. I'm blessed, but I took some money from Ole Miss, and Oh boy, you see why now.
That's not his problem anymore, though.
No, not his problem anymore.
That's Ole Miss's problem.
That 2013 class is now looking to be like, oh, that's what, and I've said it before. All programs are doing it. It's just question marks arise now that he got caught. That's the dumbest way to get caught possible is via text messages that get screenshotted. Come on now, you delete those messages. You use a phone that's totally different, and Ole Miss doesn't even know how to cheat properly. You believe that? They don't know how to cheat properly. They went through a coach. You know, everyone knows you don't go through a coach. You go through a handler or a fourth and fifth party. Oh, my gosh, the staff there at Ole Miss is unbelievable. They deserve to get caught. Should the Lions have been aggressive, get a guy that was obviously falling? Tunsil, would he have been a better fit?
I think he would. Yeah, he would have been a perfect fit for the Lions. I think he would have been a perfect fit at 16, though. As I just said, I don't want to trade up. I don't want to lose any assets to try and possibly go after somebody who might have question marks. You don't know what he's going to be dealing with in the future now. And I know the majority of all that's all the money taking from Ole Miss. That's the school's problem right now. But you don't know, what's going to happen. What's the Terrell Pryor? He was suspended for a couple NFL games though for his dealings in Ohio State, wasn't he? Tunsil, he's probably going to have a great NFL career. I want to be safe. I want my team to be safe.
So you're okay with that pick? You're perfectly satisfied with Taylor Decker? And
I am okay. I'm perfectly fine with taking Taylor Decker. Earlier in the day, I know the day before, I told Adam that I thought it was going to be Conklin. Obviously, he was gone. But earlier in the day, I was texting with my fantasy football league, and we're like, "Hey, who are they gonna take?" And I initially said I thought it was gonna be Shaq Lawson, but I assumed Shaq Lawson would have been gone at that point, and I said that they're probably gonna end up with Taylor Decker. Everybody went to go watch his pro days. I just thought it was kind of telegraphed. That's who it was going to be. I think if Conklin fell, it might have been Conklin, but I think Decker, he gives us, from everything that I've heard in his press conferences, is he's passionate about football, and you want a guy who comes in here and he's passionate. I think he's going to be a leader on the team. I think he's going to be a leader on the line. He may actually give that to this team, because I think Dom Raiola, he was the leader of the offensive line when he was here. Without him, who isn't on our line right now? Riley Reif isn't really outspoken, and the other guys, Laken Tomlinson's smart. Yeah, the dude's going to be a brain surgeon someday, but I don't see him as a leader. I see Taylor Decker. He can come in and he could be, I wouldn't be surprised within the first 3 years, he's an offensive captain.
See, when I first saw the pick, I was like, I really wanted them to focus on the defense. And I understood as we started to break it down more that Matthew Stafford had an influence. And when you see the picks, I mean, you get a center, you get some linemen. So obviously the Lions were aware that, okay, we're not effective in the run game, ranking almost near last year in terms of run yardage and average yards per carry and things like that. So you had to shore that up.
I mean, who would you have wanted them to take? I'm looking at the draft.
I wanted Shaq Lawson. Once that was available.
You did want Shaq Lawson?
I want Shaq Lawson. I know a lot of people were saying, well, he was the beneficiary of being a good program over there at Clemson.
Right.
But it was a situation where I thought he would have had impact on that defense. I wanted to build through that defense first. I understood why, though, that they started to focus a little bit more on protecting Matthew Stafford and building through the run.
I really would have been fine with either of those guys. Shaq Lawson, Taylor Decker. Other than Shaq, though, I'm not really sure who you could have taken. A guy that I was targeting in the draft was Sheldon Rankins. I saw that he was falling to us in a couple mock drafts. But once he was gone, I think it was Shaq and Taylor. Either one of those picks. Outside of those guys, you see who was drafting after him. Keanu Neal, a strong safety. Darren Lee, that might have been, but I think it might have been a reach at 16. And then they had the run on wide receivers. Do you take a cornerback that high? They had William Jackson and Artie Burns. The Lions played it. They made the right move.
Yeah, I don't think it's one of those situations where we're going to look back and go, oh my gosh, this is devastatingly bad, a la Eric Ebron. I just say it's my philosophy. My philosophy would have been to focus on the defense. Obviously, now the Lions are shifting a little bit. I really believe they don't believe Stafford is the guy, so they're going to try to...
Jake Rudock.
We're definitely going to talk about that. They're going to definitely scale things down, run the ball more, and try to be a little bit more conservative and win in a different fashion. So I do believe that that's why they did that. And obviously with Matthew Stafford's contract extension looming around the corner, you wanted to make him happy. And I'm sure he was in on knowing that, hey, get me some support. I'm on my ass every single game. If you give me some support, we'll definitely be more effective on that offense.
Now, what I will say with drafting Taylor Decker, I think they should have in the next 3 rounds addressed the other defensive end side. Because, if you draft Shaq Lawson, I get it that there wasn't a star offensive lineman out there to take in round 2 or round 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think by Taylor Decker, you knew that there was defensive linemen out in this draft, but you addressed A'Shawn Robinson, you shore up, you get depth in the middle, but right now you didn't really draft a defensive end to replace the Jason Jones or really but we didn't have somebody opposite Ziggy Ansah. Luckily, we picked up Ziggy Ansah's option. We're going to have him for at least another 2 years. But right now, our starting defensive end on the opposite side of him is Devin Taylor, which I think there's a lot of upside for Devin Taylor. He really showed that he had a motor last year, but I'm not sure. It's going to be a big question mark going into the season, that opposite side.
So then everyone's starting to say, okay, the first half of the draft, first 4 picks are pretty solid. You get the sense that, okay, they're looking for massive men, looking for depth, looking to build in the trenches. Mm-hmm. We're all in agreements of that. As the draft progresses, it seemed like, some of the concerns started to arise in terms of drafting the long snapper, drafting Jake Rudock. The philosophy would have been, okay, if you're going to, you're going to get a guy that's going to potentially be a backup. Why not, when you see the Connor Cook starting to slip, move up in the 4th round and get him? Pick 100. He might have gone even, a little bit further had you kind of been a little bit more savvy and maneuver and been willing to maneuver for Connor Cook. I felt like if you're gonna go and get a guy, why not go out and get Connor Cook? He's definitely a better option than Jake Rudock. Jake Rudock is a project. Could be somebody that could be a safe game manager type quarterback, but why not get a guy to compete with Stafford? Why not? I don't get that, because Connor Cook right now is better than Jake Rudock.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been a better move for the Lions.
It was a bummer, but I guess I can see it. Nate Sudfeld is the guy that I saw, and he actually went 4 picks right before Jake Rudock. It would have been really interesting to see what would have happened if he would have been there when the Lions selected Rudock in the 6th round. I think Connor Cook, it would have been too much pressure on Stafford. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm really not saying that's a good thing.
You're saying you might have actually ruffled his feathers a la Sam Bradford?
I think he might, yeah.
He might have been offended
Stafford
by that?
might have been a little offended, but if they drafted
That's
Connor
a problem.
Cook.
That's a problem. Because what I don't get...
But I think it's partially Stafford. I think it's partially this team. I think this team is really sold on Matt Stafford being the franchise quarterback.
He hasn't earned that.
That being said, though, I think you had to take a project quarterback. I think that's me saying Connor Cook isn't a project quarterback. He's very close to being a starting quarterback in the NFL. I mean, not now since he's on the Oakland, and barring a horrific injury to Derek Carr, Connor Cook is going to be sitting on the bench for his entire rookie contract.
It's not maybe not be a bad thing. Maybe he's going to get tutelage under Derek Carr, learn a couple things, and be used as a trade bait. Maybe get a 2nd or 3rd round pick out of it, and be in a better situation when he does go in there to be ready to start. And I do think that him dropping, had he been drafted in the 1st round, maybe in the first 10 picks, I don't feel like he would have had as good a career as he has now. Now
True.
He has that on his back. People know he was blatantly disrespected. I feel like for his career, this is great for him. Now he can use it as motivation to shut everybody up and to say, when he has success, and I do believe Cook will have success as a pro, he can come out and say, y'all question my leadership. All I do is win, baby. And I hope he gets a chance to show that, because he was disrespected for the way that he carries himself in interviews. Maybe there's a little bit of lingering questions about his shoulder, but there are a lot of things outside of talent in football that led to him dropping. Whether you agree with it or not, I do believe Connor Cook has a chance to be successful. And by sitting a couple years, I'm very happy. I think he's going to be somebody that you're going to hear from in 3 to 5 years.
I think he was drafted by the wrong team, though.
No, I think it's perfect.
Oakland?
Derek Carr, not to play. Sit and I do believe that he is a guy that can be used potentially if Derek Carr doesn't take another step forward. He can be a guy that can learn.
And that's the thing, though. You want him to sit and learn behind Derek Carr, where Derek Carr is, what is it? Was this his 2nd year? He was in his 2nd year.
But he had a big leap forward.
Yeah, he had a big leap forward. But if I would have rather him go to a team like the Cowboys where he can sit and learn behind Tony Romo, a guy who's
never won a Super Bowl and may never
Derek
win.
Carr has never won anything either.
But this year could be a year where he takes that other step forward with that good offense. That team, Oakland, could be a young team on the rise, and he could learn a lot of things from that group there.
Oakland's garbage.
Oh, don't be such a hater away.
The perfect spot for him would have been Denver. Paxton Lynch? Are you serious? Paxton Lynch?
To be honest, the perfect spot for him to land would have been New England. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. I was actually shocked that.
Jacoby Brisket. That's right.
Exactly.
Or Brissett, whatever.
Are you kidding me? That was actually the big sign for me that, oh boy, if New England passes on you, I really do believe that across the league, the fact that he didn't go to the Senior Bowl really affected a lot of things. Because A.J. McCarron
had a bum shoulder.
Right, but A.J. McCarron did the same thing, and he dropped to the 4th round. I think the Senior Bowl for quarterbacks is a big spot where you can go actually start the process of showing that, hey, I can interview and talk to teams. And by not going, maybe a lot of people were rubbed the wrong way by it and maybe felt like he was a little bit arrogant. But in the end, the opportunity will come for him to play. And when that comes, he's got to show it because everyone's looking for him to fail.
Were you confused at all, them in the 6th round going out and taking a long snapper? What's his name? Jimmy Landis with pick number 210. When Aaron Burbridge goes a few picks later, a wide receiver who could have been...
If you had
could have
Cook,
at least competed for a 4th wide receiver spot.
Hey, if you had Cook, then you could pair him up with Burbridge, best third down efficiency all across college football. But they didn't. They chose not to. I know it's a 6th round pick, and it's a situation where you can maybe say those guys we don't count on too much. But across the board, you've seen what Bob Quinn wanted to do. He wants competition. So he wants to upgrade the depth and everybody to earn their spot. People will say, well, Muehlbach is on his last legs anyway. You could have, played him this year and then just got somebody next year. But hey, it's a 6th round pick. Cuts like that aren't really significant, in terms of the grand scheme of things. But you could also argue that pick was laughable, and ESPN openly laughed at the Lions for making that pick. No, most people don't draft long snappers.
Yeah, but I think by drafting him, when Muehlbach does essentially either retire, you're getting an infusion of younger players and guys who actually want to come in and don't have the taint of the Lions on them. Muehlbach has been here through the Millen era. He's seen all the garbage, and I think it's by drafting Jimmy Landis, I think he'll be on the team in September. I think Muehlbach, his time is likely done. Maybe you see Landis end up on a practice squad, and so we can keep him for next year when Muehlbach's done. But looking at the rest of the draft, their last pick, Dwayne Washington, the running back out of Washington, I think he's going to be an interesting character to watch in the preseason and through training camp. He's definitely going to shine because he's going to be going up against like the 3rd and 4th string players on NFL teams, but he's likely not going to make an impact for the Lions this season.
Okay, so overall, the draft, when you look at it, it's a safe draft. It's something that when I was talking to friends, I said, you know what? The past draft have been so bad that this one is relatively okay, makes it look 50 times better than in the past. They didn't trade for people that are going to be ineffective. They didn't take guys with severe injuries lagging on them. I was a little bit concerned with some of the guys that were kind of maybe question marks that slipped in the draft, and I'm glad he didn't take too many risks. This team right now needs to really revamp everything, and he knows that, so he was safe, and overall, I'm satisfied with the draft. It's way too early to project. Now you could say that 2013 draft was pretty much okay. Give Mayhew credit.
And it's really hard to grade this draft. Pretty much everybody across the nation they're giving the Lions a grade of like B or B minus. It's too early. It's a really average draft. It is too early. Because this is such a safe draft, I think this is the beginning of Bob Quinn putting his plan in place. You are going to look at this draft in a few years where if we do start turning it around, you'll look at this draft and say, this is where it started. You see, we started the building blocks with building the trenches. And then going forward, we were able to add more and more pieces. And I actually looked, they had a couple way too early mock drafts for 2017. A lot of the people aren't really predicting us to do very good, and they're projecting us with top 10 picks, which that leads it to the guys who had it out there. I think 4 of them had us taking a stud running back, and the two names that come up are LSU's Leonard Fournette and Florida State's Dalvin Cook.
Let's do it, baby. Yeah, let's do it.
So, I mean, if we go, let's say we do regress, we have like a 6-10 or a 7-9 season, we end up with somewhere between 8 and 12 in the draft. Would you be okay going out and drafting one of those stud running backs?
You know, I still think it's early. I know you drafted a running back from Washington in the 7th round. Wasn't necessarily needed, but I do believe he'll probably be a guy that doesn't make the squad, maybe in the practice squad. I do believe Zach Zenner and George Wynn maybe have the slight edge over him, but I'm kind of curious to see what Zenner does now in this year. I really think Theo Riddick could thrive in this, and I do believe Amir Abdullah is going to be the guy that's going to be given chances. I'm really surprised, though. Washington fumbles a lot, or the guy from Washington fumbles quite a bit, and so I understand why he dropped to, when he's already in the 7th round, but those picks are kind of, flyers, as you would say. So I'm not counting on him to do a whole heck of a lot. So the running game, I am waiting for that final piece to the puzzle. But New England didn't have really stud running backs. They always went out and got guys that are kind of off the scrap heap. So so I think
like Stephen Ridley, who's on our team now.
Exactly. So I think you have an opportunity to kind of maybe look to free agency for stuff like that.
If we are in that position where we're a top 10 pick next year, I'm not sure if I'm going to want a skill position. It's a shiny new piece, and I'm sure that's what the Cowboys were thinking when they drafted Ezekiel Elliott. They are a little bit further along than us in this whole building process, building through the trenches.
That shiny new piece needs to be a devastatingly awesome linebacker that can be the franchise guy. That might be the final piece you need, is the guy that'll be the face of that defense, that'll let everybody know if you come into the Ford Field, you're gonna be hurting, And then
I would love to get and maybe Miles Killebrew is this type of guy. It's that hard hitting safety who's gonna go over and just punish people. And I want Legion of Boom Midwest.
Well, you start off with the guy that they nicknamed the Muscle Hammer. What'd you think of that nickname?
Dude, I don't care. I just want him to go out and I want him to ball. As far for our first 4 picks, I think those top 3 could very likely be day 1 starters. Graham Glasgow is more of a 50-50 shot with Travis Swanson. But I think Killebrew he's the most intriguing of the 4 because it's a guy he's a hard hitter. And that's definitely something that we haven't really had. We had Hedabo for maybe half a season playing at full speed. Glover Quinn is, he's a ball hawking safety. And I think what Killebrew could bring is a hard hitting safety.
Do you find it interesting that in a professional interview that an NFL team would act like they don't care about you in terms of kind of being aloof, kind of just going through the motions just to see how you'd react to that? That'd be weird. Like, I would feel like, if a team would be willing to do that, I'd be a little bit more on edge now, knowing that, okay, I'm sitting down, I'm going to be genuinely excited, and they show no interest. I would kind of be surprised. And there were a lot of draft picks that said that, hey, I kind of got drafted by a team that barely talked to me. So you just kind of got to.
I think that's essentially what happened with Riley Reef.
Yeah, that's so odd. Is that I would be excited, genuinely looking forward to the conversation, saying, "Hey, what are you guys gonna do? I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl parade. We're gonna make this a winner." And they're like, "Tell me about your stats." Oh, okay. Tell me about it, and just be aloof. It'd be weird for me.
It's interview tactics, I
didn't think that's one of them. I think the strongest interview tactic would be to be like, "Hey, in 2nd grade, you called this girl a beep beep beep. What was that about?" You'd be like, "What?" That'd be like the most. It'd be like them digging up stuff from way, way back, not acting in a way that's totally not real. That's really interesting. It's fascinating that they would do that.
These coaches and these scouts are going into these interviews. They pretty much know everything about you already,
right?
And they're really going in there trying to see what your reaction is going to be. And if you go in there every interview, just with a, oh, we're all happy to be here. It's you're not going to get real reaction. I think if you want to have somebody want to be on your team, and in the instance where if the people come in aloof, I think that it puts pressure on them to sell themselves to you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
That's essentially what it is.
No, I feel like I kind of want to now sit back and watch some of these general managers interview some of these people. You know, in the combine, they show all the workouts and stuff. I think the next step is you got to show these interviews. It will be awesome television to kind of, have it maybe produced a little bit and be like, hey, we're going to ask them this, kind of talk about, hey, we're going into this interview looking for this, watch what we're going to do here. And to see the players' reaction when they ask, hey, how much marijuana do you smoke? Or, hey, tell me about, asking Kim Diche, hey, be real with me, lay it on me.
Would you really buy a Panther?
Yeah, exactly. Kim Diche, what really happened at that hotel? Why'd you jump, bro? Did you really smoke bad weed? Where'd you get it from? And him sitting there trying to squirm and give answers like that, that'd be riveting television. I'd watch it for sure.
It would be interesting. Going into the draft and before, we were kind of talking Lions predictions for the season. And I know I said that easily the Lions could be 10-6. And I was thinking going into the draft after seeing it that it was just going to reaffirm everything. It doesn't necessarily bring me down, and I am all for this draft. It doesn't give me a whole lot of hope to really be like super, super good. I don't see a 12-4 season with this team, especially with what we've brought in. I still think 10-6 is attainable, but
that's probably the cap.
Yes,
10 wins.
I think we may have to dial our expectations back a little bit.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I think right now is a great time to be optimistic. There's a lot of things in place. You got to remember, Jason, I know everyone kind of poo-poos it, but we did end of the year last year 6-2.
Which means nothing.
It does not. I know it doesn't mean nothing, but here's what you can realize. You start to see a philosophy of consistency. You see the offense, what they could do is control the ball, try their best to kind of, be conservative in that 10-yard gap there, keep the ball moving. Listen, Jason, every game in that 8-game stretch. Yes, every game in the 8-game stretch, we were like, okay, when's the offense going to stall? And they'd come out with a great game plan. The chain was moving. They were scoring points. I know you lose Calvin Johnson, but I think you did enough to replace him. What you have to look for is if this offensive line can protect Stafford, if you can run the football. If you can do those things, maybe the thing you're lacking is guys on the defense that can get you the ball back, guys that can make turnovers. But that could come in the future. But this year, I expect them to be competitive in that 9-10 win range with the potential of going 11-5 if everything shakes out, and if injuries, maybe a little bit of luck. If the Lions can get a little bit of luck on their side, then I do believe this is a consistent group right now. The offensive staff is the same, the defensive staff is the same. I think I like what I'm seeing, and the schedule doesn't look to be super, super tough.
It doesn't look tough, and that's why I want to get kind of an overview of what our predictions are going through the time. So May 2nd, 2016, I want to get our win-loss, and going forward, maybe once training camp starts, we do this again. Just to see where we round out.
Hold on, Muscle Hammer.
Hammer, I like that.
Before we do that, let me just quickly tell you about our friends at Fanatic U before we talk about the Lions and their schedule. I know you're going to be probably less than I am at 10-6. But our friends at FanaticU.com are great sponsors. They definitely take care of us. They got 6 locations all across Metro Detroit. They're Detroit Sports' official outfitter and the official outfitter of the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Check out FanaticU.com. The online store is absolutely amazing. All your Detroit sports needs right there in one spot. FanaticU.com. And now you have a situation where Fanatic U is, Detroit Sports' official outfitter, and a new store is opening up in Brighton very soon. I'm excited for that. Check out our sponsors and support them, FanaticU.com.
You can check us out on DetroitSportsPodcast.com.
That's right.
On the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
You know it,
I
Jason.
downloaded the Podomatic app.
Did
it's
you?
awesome.
Is it easy
It's
to
a
work
lot
with?
easier to use than iTunes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell everybody that. Yeah, we're on this podcast. There's no reason why you can't find it. Podomatic, Podbase, Stitcher, iTunes. There's just so many ways to find us on our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. All right.
So let's break it down. Game by game, May 2nd. This is what our predictions are. Are you ready, John, the Doc, Macaroon?
Yes, you go
Or
first.
as Vinny Stubbs says, Sackaroon.
Yes, sir.
Sunday, September 11th, season opener at the Indianapolis Colts. I think initially I was looking at this game and I saw a win. I think with their addition of Ryan Kelly, that center, I think they solidify that line a little bit. And I'm going to give this to the Colts. So I'm opening up with a loss. 0-1. Season's over.
Season's over. We'll be devastated. I give it a loss as well.
Oh, man, this is going to be bad.
No, gets better. It gets
Home
better.
opener against the Tennessee Titans. Like you said, we get that big matchup against Jack Conklin. Maybe do we see Derrick Henry, or I think DeMarco Murray he's still the back there.
So I initially had this game being an easy one. It'll be a tight fourth quarter game. I give it to the Lions, baby.
Okay, 1-1. I am also giving them a win. I think the Lions. It's not Mariota's time yet, and I don't think they have enough. They don't have enough in the tank. So Sunday, September 25th at Green Bay. I'm not sure. I don't think they're gonna make it 2 years in a row in Green Bay. So I give them a loss, 1-2.
Yeah, makes sense.
Jordy Nelson's back.
They're gonna want revenge. Yeah, give it to me a loss.
We're lockstep right now. October 2nd at Chicago Bears. I think this is a win. I think the Bears they're still a mess. I like Jeremy Langford. I think he's going to have a quiet, good season, just like Matt Forte always had. But I give the Lions a win here.
Yeah, last year coming off of a sweep in 2015, we kind of own Chicago right now. No reason to believe that anything will be different. Jay Cutler is the quarterback there. All good on our end. Victory.
Up next, Vinny Stubbs, Philadelphia Eagles. I know he's kind of on the fence on Carson Wentz. And I don't think he plays this season. I think Sam Bradford is likely going to be their starting quarterback. And just like last season, we destroyed them. We'll destroy them again. It's going to be the Lions.
Philadelphia Eagles organization.
This is bad.
Tough. I could not imagine being a fan of them right now.
I think
Devastating.
they're going in the right direction.
This will be Darius Slay's coming out party. Victory for the Lions.
I do think Carson Wentz is going to be a good quarterback. A lot of people are comparing him to Ben Roethlisberger. And I think he definitely comes from that same small school. He came from a smaller school, though, from Big Ben. But it's going to be a few years for that guy and for the Philadelphia Eagles. October 16th, the Los Angeles Rams visit the Lions.
Victory. Easy.
Victory?
I have victory. Easy victory.
Jared Goff, he's starting by then, right?
I think
he is their starter.
I believe that the Lions defense will absolutely own the Rams, and they'll have probably no problem with them. 4-2 at this point for me.
I would have given this one to the Lions here. I think the Rams are going to be an interesting team to watch. I think
you're a dick.
I am.
Just make it a victory.
Dick. I'm not going to make it a victory because then I become Homer. I'm a Homer. I don't want to be this Homer character who just absolutely loves the Lions, eats his cornbread, drinks his blue Kool-Aid. I don't want to be that. I want to be as impartial as possible. And
Muscle Hammer gets his first INT touchdown return, and he breaks out a dance for the ages.
Okay,
Sports Center will be this will be his Sports Center debut versus the Rams, where he intercepts them 2 times and he shows off some moves that we've never seen before.
And that's possible, and it's also quite possible that Todd Gurley runs for 170 yards and 3 touchdowns.
No, it won't happen.
So because of Todd Gurley and because of I think Jared Goff, he has a big arm. And he's definitely going to test the secondary. Okay,
so you got him at 3-3, and I got him at 4-2.
We do. We finally differ, and I gotta go there. October 23rd, Redskins, a playoff team comes to our town. I think they're going to be reeling from the Rams loss. I think they're going to come back. They're going to win this one.
I got them winning easily.
Easily.
Yep.
Against your Kirk Cousins.
Yep. I do believe it'll be definitely a good game, and I do believe that Matthew Stafford in this game will be a factor, and we'll definitely have a good game. It'll be Curly's breakout party, and Marvin
just
Jones.
Calling all this left and right.
I'm just going with what my gut tells me, and I'm going with the Lions in this one.
So
5-2.
So after 3 games at home, end of October, we travel to Houston and J.J. Watt. I think he has at least 2 sacks in this game, unless Taylor Decker puts him on his butt, which, I don't know. J.J. Watt is
Lions sitting at 5-2, or sometimes they just play well enough to lose. It'll be a situation where it'll be a close game, and Houston will just play well enough to win, and we'll be at 5-3.
So you're giving him a loss?
Give him a loss.
I think Brock Osweiler, this might be the game where he actually starts to progress, because they got DeAndre Hopkins, and what did they get? They got Will Fuller. It's going to be a handful in there. If they can figure out, they got Lamar Miller as their running back, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be an interesting team, that Houston team. They may be a sneaky team this season. I'm giving it to Houston here. So I have them at 4-4. midway through the season.
I got them at 5-3 at the bye week, right? Are we at the bye week?
No, we're right before the bye week.
So 9 games.
We're
okay.
still on the road against the Minnesota Vikings, which they are still a mess. Teddy Bridgewater is not a good quarterback. They got Stephon Diggs, Laquan Treadwell. Oh, they still got AP. When is AP going to break down? I'm not sure if it's going to be this season. I can't bet against him until it actually happens. But I think the Lions they're gonna come into this game. They're gonna know that they're 4-4. They need to produce if they want to get into the playoffs. I think they win this game.
I wonder why the Lions always struggle in Minnesota. Give me a loss.
Because you're a hater. And we're back to even. We're both at 5-4 going into the bye. Going into after the bye, we got Jacksonville at home.
Victory. That should be no discussion. Victory.
Blake Bortles. You're the biggest proponent of Blake Bortles
in fantasy. Yes, he was a guy that everyone said, "Oh no, he's not a top 15 quarterback." I'm like, dude, the guy's getting 3 touchdowns a game, getting 20, 25 fantasy points, and he finished, I believe, around the top 10 in fantasy. So give me a victory, though. I like the Lions at home this year. I think they're going to defend the den, and that's what they're striving to do. So give me the Lions.
I think Jacksonville will definitely be competitive. Jalen Ramsey is going to be a beast for them, but I think cornerbacks have a learning curve coming in the NFL, and Stafford's definitely going to be able to take advantage of them, unless their Dante Fowler comes back and is like an amazing sophomore rookie of the year. I have the Lions winning this game, so we're 6-4. Almost, we're coming up to Thanksgiving. Got Minnesota at home.
Victory.
Me too. I hate myself. I mean, I don't hate myself for predicting it, but when at the end of this season, when they end up 8-8, I'll hate myself. So we're both at 7-4. Going to opening up December at New Orleans at that gigantic Superdome. They don't have very good luck there. I'm giving the loss to them.
Exactly. Me too. They'll be at 7-5.
Oh boy. At home against Chicago.
Victory.
They got to beat the Bears. Oh, we're coming down the home stretch.
How many games left now?
We got 3 games left. We're both at 8-5, which we're pretty close to playoff position right now. At New York Giants.
Oh, this will probably be the big game. Oh man, it'll be maybe a situation where Ebron now finally shuts down the talk. The guy that had the shirts, he made the shirts, F crap up and leave. This is where he's going to want to shine. This is the Eric Ebron coming out party where he gets 2 touchdowns and is going to want to get himself all in the interview cycle and tell everybody, told y'all, this is a victory.
Yeah, that is a victory, bringing them to 9. And
yeah, you're coming around. You know what's up. I think you're getting upset because you know what? It's not, don't think of it as the Lions going out there and winning these games. Going out there and realize that this is a league of parity. And in a situation when you have a league like this, the Lions don't have to be all that great. They just have to be above mediocre. So some of these teams are so bad that it's not going to be the Lions. It's going to be the opponents being so god-awful.
So I got to give them a win in New York. 9-5 going into their pretty much their only primetime game, Monday night at the Jerry Dome against the Dallas Cowboys. Do they have Tony Romo? I don't know. Is Ezekiel Elliott still playing? I don't know. Is Des Bryant even healthy? Who knows? I got to give him the loss here.
I'm giving him the loss. This will be a game where the Lions have a lead and they will lose it late because the NFL will do something to screw them. Maybe a late flag for a touchdown and it gets overturned and a situation where there was actually a penalty but they didn't call it and the Dallas Cowboys will win the game. Some kind of screwy play will happen.
Which brings us to the final game of the season. At home, Green Bay Packers.
Loss. There's my 10-6.
Loss. That brings you to 9-7.
I had them at 9-5. I had them losing to Dallas. Then I have to have them winning. Then okay, they'll win at home versus Green Bay.
You have them winning then.
Yep.
Just to get that 10-6.
Just to get 10-6. It's not that stretch. Only because at that point in time, Green Bay will have a 2-game lead and they'll be resting everybody. If Aaron Rodgers is playing, then the chances of them winning goes down. But they played solid against Green Bay. So if it's the last game of the year and they're resting everybody for the playoff push, give us a win. Charity win.
Charity win. Aaron Rodgers hates Detroit. As much as a good guy as he may claim he is, He literally hates everything about Detroit.
So I'm at 10-6.
He's going to want to pound us as much as possible. He make fun of us, and that's likely what's going to happen. Week 17, game 16, Lions lose to the Packers, giving them a record of 9-7. So there you have it. I have them going 9-7. It's still a pretty good season. It's a marked improvement from last year. I'm not sure if you're going to be right on the edge of getting into the playoffs at this point.
Okay, let's see what happens. I'm going to be right. You're going to be wrong, like always. Trade Thomas Tatar. My goodness.
Yeah,
we should listen to you.
That would have been a great thing, right, John?
That's an inside joke. Yeah, we should have definitely traded him. We should have traded him when Jarvis said so. What are you going to do? That was early on in the Motor City Sports Rant podcast. If you want to go back and listen to the archives, the fun archives with all the news and things that we talked about in the past, go check out our YouTube page and channel. Lots of great old podcasts that we did. Check out all the guests that we've interviewed that have sat here and told their stories. Definitely check out the YouTube channel. It's very fun.
Well, I mean, we can talk a lot of stuff. We still, we've been talking for almost an hour on the Lions.
Yes. So before we get off the football, you were able to participate at the radio station Detroit Sports 105.1 draft battle, second or third annual.
Yep, third annual.
Third annual draft battle at the Foaling Warehouse, where when Jerry dropped his latest podcast, the Hindsight 20 on Monday, he opened his podcast talking about, hey, I got to go down. He was shouting out the station, shouting out Tito's, shouting out Dickie's Barbecue. He was like, man, I had a great time. And he's like, okay, then my curiosity came in. I'm like, okay, I wonder what team he was on. I'm like, wait a minute. I wonder if he actually met Jarvie. Did they actually talk to each other, or were they on different teams and didn't even know it? But Shore and Hunter, smart gentlemen, and they rounded up talent from the Detroit Sports Podcast Network, Jarvie and Jerry. No one else had a chance. Once I knew that, I'm like, oh, man, forget about it. Hunter and Shore brought in the ringers. Smart men.
Now, I will say our team was probably the most, put together. And everybody, we had a lot of conflicting views at times, but for the most part, we were pretty lock and step.
So how does a draft battle work? For those that aren't there or that didn't go to the Foaling Warehouse, how do you win?
You converse as a team, make your pick, hand it in. And then if you get it right, you get a certain amount of points. I think the first 9 picks was 1 point. And then from 10 to maybe 20, it's 2. And then after that, it's 4 points. Because obviously, if you know who, if you knew the Steelers were going to take Artie Burns, it's worth more than saying that the Rams are going to take Jared Goff.
So you didn't have your phones, because I think that's probably would be cheating. Now, did you guys understand the context when you seen a dude with a gas mask bong up there on the screen? Were you guys like, what's going on here?
About that, actually.
That'd be weird.
We got there, myself and Ron Crichton, we got to the draft battle a little late because I had to work until right up until draft. So right as we were leaving the station to go down to the Foaling Warehouse, we see on our Twitter feed, and we see the
bong mask.
The bong hit. We're like, dude, we couldn't get a hold of him. So as soon as we got in there, I think it was around the 3rd pick, and we're like, dude, Tunsil, don't take him. He's dropping. He hit the bong gas back. It's ridiculous. He's dropping.
So if you were wrong on Tunsil, you just still had the opportunity to put his name down.
Oh, yeah.
For the point.
I think we
later on
Shaq Lawson a couple times.
Gotcha.
From like pick 8 to 12. And at that point, I think we kind of stopped with Shaq Lawson. And I would have gone Shaq Lawson
the whole way
up
there.
until he figured. Because why wouldn't you take the guy? The guy had a lot of talent.
Did you go Foaling?
I did not.
Okay.
It was I think you would have to pay some extra money.
Oh, okay.
But it was a really fun experience. Dickie's Barbecue was delicious.
What would you recommend there? Where are they at? I've never heard of it.
They have a couple locations. I think they have one over on the west side. The one that I definitely know that they have is in Ferndale on Woodward, kind of north of 9 Mile. It's awesome. I had the mac and cheese was really good. They had mashed potatoes. And I know if Vinny was here, he would rip me for this, but the sausage was delicious.
Yeah, we know you love the sausage.
It was awesome. It was so good. Like, I had sausage and pulled pork, and I wanted to go back for more sausage.
Jerry said you were in love with the Tito's. He said that you and Tito's were like married. The bottle and you were like, cohabitating.
He may have lied about that. I did not know. I didn't drink anything. I'm a good guy.
I've never had Tito's. Have you?
I have. Tito's is really good. It's a very solid vodka.
Okay.
It's not as expensive as like the Grey Goose or Belvedere. But for me, I really like it as a gin and tonic.
Gotcha.
So I would totally drink Tito's anytime.
Yeah, so the good thing is you and Jerry got to meet up. You guys are doing 2 different podcasts here on the network, and you teamed up for the great cause, and I liked it. I was like, wait a minute, because I heard, I didn't get a chance to talk to you over the weekend and such because you're a busy man to get a hold of, but Jerry told me that, hey, you got to meet Jarvie, and I was like, perfect, this is cool. And, you guys teamed up for a victory, and I think you've been part of a couple of victories now. Are you the 105.1 guru football?
In that first round, I had a lot of the picks that nobody else wanted to do. But, I can't take credit I really can't take credit for the win.
You got to be more forceful. You got to be like, go with this.
I did, but everybody else literally wanted everything, wanted the other guy.
Okay.
It's because it's a team thing. I could have done that and been like, I'm part of the station. Let's just write this down.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't going to do that. It's these listeners, they listen to us all the time.
Now, the big thing is, where did you put the trophy?
I think the trophy it's just at the station. I think they keep it in the main studio.
Oh, so all those trophies I saw in the picture were for the guests. Yeah. Oh, okay, I get it. Be nice to the listeners.
Exactly.
I get it.
Oh, the only one who got one was Lindsay, and I think he might have stole one.
Yeah,
they ripped him about that the next day. I think there's an asterisk the year before.
Yeah,
there's a slight asterisk I think for this year because even though we had we picked well, we had really good picks. Sean, Mark, and Maz's team was doing very good up until the Lions pick. They had, I think, a 4-point lead at that point. But then Sean, Mark, and Maz went folding.
Yeah.
So they essentially let the listeners still let the picks, which it was just unlucky for them. But they probably would have had some smarter picks if Sean, Mark, and Maz were there.
Well, I always tell them 105.1's lucky to have you. I understand your talents. That's why we talk football.
Well, thank you.
That's why I put you as a host of the Motor City Sports Rant and the Fantasy Nerds podcast, sponsored by Fan Up Network. So awesome stuff, Jarvie. You definitely know your football. You're definitely a great up-and-coming sports broadcaster, and lucky to have you. Definitely.
Well, thank you. I appreciate those kind words from you, John.
Well, you know why I'm positive, feeling good? Tigers are winning, baby. They're playing unbelievable. They mashing up on the garbage teams. Jordan Zimmerman's
MLB Pitcher of the Month.
Great pitcher, great signing.
AL Pitcher of the Month.
Nick Castellanos mashing the baseball. Justin Upton coming around. They played garbage teams and they beat them. So hey, I'll take that every day. They the week prior was very tough. We were talking about firing Brad Ausmus, but then hey, all it takes is these bats to come alive, and these Tigers right where they need to be, baby. It's all good.
And I think that's what we said back before the season was that going into April, you're going to have a stretch with really good teams, and we were talking about what did you want to see from them in that first month of April. And I think I said that they'd probably be right around 500. I think Vinny said that they would be just north of it. And I think you predicted
under 500.
Under 500. And as
they were there until this stretch where they played very well. So good for them.
Yeah, they ended up 13-10 in that first month. And obviously they're starting to mash the ball. And that's going to be the big thing. I was listening to Jeff Passan, a Yahoo columnist on 105.1, and he basically laid it out that if the Tigers win this season, it's going to be because they're hitting. You have Zimmerman, who's really panned out for the first month at least. Justin Verlander is still an ace on your squad, but the rest of your squad isn't really going to carry you through. It's going to be through your hitting, through Miguel Cabrera, through JD Martinez, Nick Castellanos. He's even turned it around in these past couple games. That's really is going to be what carries you through this season.
Listen, I'm excited to watch the Tigers game in, game out. I think a lot of people now are starting to understand this is a hitting team. You need to be able to mash the baseball, and when you can get 3-run home runs, it makes it a lot easier. So what's going to have to happen is Justin Upton's going to have to continue to hit. Miguel Cabrera, Castellanos, Vmart have to do some damage. And then the bullpen's been okay. Not great.
The bullpen's been quietly pretty solid.
Exactly. And
so which we haven't had in a very long time.
So now the question mark is going to be the starting pitching. You got two guys that are big question marks that are really concerning right now, Pelfrey and Anibal Sanchez. Pelfrey is one of those guys where all the fans are talking about it. Basically, I'm going to say this is a guy that's making too much money, and he's not getting the run support. He's one of those pitchers where he goes out there, I'm expecting a loss. So I'm waiting just patiently until a couple more terrible starts. and with the hope that, just stick him in the bullpen, hide him, and maybe use him for one inning when you need him. But as a starter, I'm concerned. Anibal Sanchez still giving up home runs, isn't as dominant as you need him to be. And at his salary rate, at $16.5 million, it's got to be more consistent. Zimmerman and JV are doing okay. Fulmer has been a breath of fresh air.
One game.
I'll take that, but his stuff looked good. And did you watch his first start?
I did not.
Okay, they kept panning to his family, and so they did the split screen for a lot of his early inning stuff. But dude flashes a good fastball, good control, and he was able to kind of weather the storm when he got into trouble. So Fulmer looks like the real deal. Got the goatee rocking, and he's going to be a guy that we're counting on to do some damage. And why not, dude? Let's take advantage of the youth. So, and you know what? On this podcast and a lot of other shows, we're always negative with Brad Ausmus, and we tend to kind of say, listen, when are we going to fire him? And we don't like his in-game managing. But he did make some lineup changes that actually helped this team win. And so when we definitely knock a manager, we have to give him credit. So all credit to Brad Ausmus for making an adjustment when he noticed something was wrong. And so credit to him. He had a good week. Good job. You earned another week.
Definitely. Yeah, you earned another week. And looking at this pitching, Jordan Zimmerman has been literally lights out. 5-0, 33 innings pitched, 28 hits allowed, 2 earned runs. That's ridiculous for a starting pitcher. He has a .55 ERA right now, which is surprisingly not the best ERA on the team. You got Justin Wilson and Alex Wilson, who still have not given up earn run, which I think that's definitely been a godsend, having those two guys. Everyone's been piling on Mike Pelfrey. So if I say Mike Pelfrey and I say Justin Verlander, who's the better pitcher?
Justin Verlander.
Justin Verlander. And do you think maybe we're giving a little bit too much credit to Justin Verlander right now? He's 2-2, where Mike Pelfrey's 0-4. Has Verlander gotten a little bit more run support than him?
Listen, we're going to talk about that in just a second. Did you hear the breaking news?
I did not, because I'm not always looking at my phone.
I know. I got 5 phones, and they're blown up. So just an hour ago, I see on Twitter some funny reactions, and it has been released. Report, Kate Upton, Justin Verlander, officially engaged. He actually did it before this season and kept it a secret. And now it's out that Kate Upton told E! News that Verlander proposed to her right before the season started, and the couple has been keeping it a secret. This changed my whole worldview.
For you.
It's all downhill from here.
All downhill.
Won't get another victory the rest of the season.
Well, I have some stats to support that. So I think most people would say Justin Verlander is way better than Mike Pelfrey. I'm just looking at his stats right now. Mike Pelfrey has a 5.68 ERA. What do you think Justin Verlander would have?
2.75.
He has a 5.46 ERA.
Oh boy.
Not
good enough.
It's not good, no. Hits allowed.
Too many.
Pelfrey's given up 37. Justin Verlander?
34.
29.
Yeah, see, his problem is early on. He's always pitching from behind. He's gotten better the last couple games, but...
Earned runs. Pelfrey's given up 16. How many has Verlander given up?
9.
18.
Whoa, earned runs?
Yep.
18, whoa.
Home runs. Mike Pelfrey's given up 3. Justin Verlander?
2.
6.
Oh, man, I got to pay attention better.
Mike Pelfrey's given up 15 balls.
See what I pay attention to?
Justin Verlander, 10 walks. It's not that bad.
Not bad.
And, I mean, the biggest thing you can look at is the strikeouts. Obviously, Verlander, he has 31 strikeouts to Pelfrey's 12. But, I don't know. It's a little scary, though. Because just bringing up the stats that you would think that Verlander's way better, but in this first month, I don't know. It's a little scary. I want to see a little bit more from Verlander. You want to see him get at least halfway to where Jordan Zimmerman's going to be. And I mean, Jordan Zimmerman's not going to be able to keep this pace up. He's going to give up, more than 2 earned runs for the rest of the season. So you want to see those guys meet in the middle. And I think that's all you can really hope for from your top pitchers, because if you have one, Justin Verlander at 5.46 ERA, Zimmerman at 0.55, meet it too. That's all I'm asking for you. Am I asking a lot?
No, I think that, I'm really surprised.
For getting paid that much money?
Yeah, I'm surprised that we're still talking about now the starters being a question mark. You think that this rotation would be kind of filled out, but now you look at Norris in the minors, he's struggling. He's not a guy that you count on too much. Shane Green has been okay until, he popped that blister, which is now leads you to start questioning whether this guy can be reliable. He was doing okay, but he's a question mark. So 3 through 5 are spots where we all have question marks. But, hey, as long as you go through the season and you try to reach your potential and you get better at the right times, this team is going to be a fun watch. And especially if they're hitting, it's going to be a team that what we have to kind of get used to is, are you going to be able to handle the big swings with Justin Upton where he gets hot for a stretch and then goes ice cold? I like more consistency. That's what I like.
Can you handle the big swings with everybody?
Yeah,
and that's going to be the real question.
And I think when it all shakes out, it's going to swing to be around an 80 to 85 win team. I just don't think they're good enough, at least based on what we've seen so far. I feel like I'm looking at a 500 team.
Do you know who has the highest batting average in the Tigers right now?
Kinsler or Castellanos?
Jordan Zimmerman.
Oh, okay. That don't count.
He's batting 500.
You should use at least 20 at bats. Come on, man.
No, it's Nick Castellanos. He's hitting 361 right now.
Now, are you someone that believes that he's just right now, playing, out of his mind, or is this something that we can expect him to build on? His start to the season has been awesome, and something that some people are talking about is that, when he heard the criticisms last year, he was somebody that took it to heart and actually worked hard to kind of improve himself. Didn't take it personally. He's somebody that got in the gym and lost some weight, gained some muscle, and was able to now kind of start to live up to that potential. And so with that, I'm looking for more from him. I want him to continue this, improve on the defense, be a guy that when the big dogs are slumping, be a guy that goes out there, and maybe he can be a guy in a season or two carries this team.
Yeah, Nick Castellanos is a guy. The comparison that I always made with him is Evan Longoria. I saw what he did, and I see what Nick Castellanos does, and I see very similar players. I think the water's going to find its level for Castellanos this year, and I think he can probably be somewhere between a 280 and a 300 hitter. I really think he can. I think right now he's a career 265. I don't think it's that far to say that he can be a 280 to 300 hitter. It's a few more at bats, it's a few more hits, and I think he's only 24. It's his fourth. Well, essentially, it's his third full year in the league. All he can do is get better, and I really like it. I think he's a guy that you can actually hang your hat on. It's somebody that this organization grew from the ground up. There are a lot of these players that we have on our team. As much as I love them, we went out and bought them.
Yeah, and so right now it's a time to lock into the Tigers. I mean, we'll have a chance to kind of peek into how the Lions rookies kind of handle their first couple of visits and meetings and stuff like that. The Red Wings and Pistons are now in their off seasons. We're going to get a chance to see how that shakes out. But now the focus fully is going to be on the Detroit Tigers. Game in, game out, get a chance to watch. Check out our Tigers Talk podcast, which comes out every Wednesday. And we have an opportunity now to kind of sink in and watch, spring baseball. I'm looking forward to it. It's a fun time. What are you looking forward to this next week in Detroit sports? What are you kind of been peeking at? What's been drawing your interest?
There really isn't anything. I mean, you got Tigers. The big thing was going up in the Lions draft.
You look at Giants draft.
That's over.
Yep. But you can still look around the league and see what other teams have done. You know, Green Bay had a decent draft. Chicago, not so bad.
I mean, right now it's really NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs. The Eastern Conference and the NBA really picked up. You saw.
Yeah, you could be like, Doc, I'm not even interested that much in Detroit sports. I'm looking at the playoffs, baby.
And I hate to say that. And
no, why?
As much as the Eastern Conference was really, really good, I'm really keeping an eye on the West. Because seeing what the Warriors are doing to the Trailblazers in Game 1 and what the Spurs just crushing the Thunder in Game 1.
By halftime, the game was over.
Steph Curry came out and said that he's probably going to be ready for Game 3. You don't even play him. Don't play him this series because I want to see the battle of two titans. I want to see the Warriors at full strength going up against the Spurs at full strength. Because I think it's just going to be a slugfest.
Okay, so for me, and I like the fact now that it's going to be you and I going forward with varied guests and things like that, and we can go a little bit longer. So the news came out, and it excited me, sent shockwaves into my system. It's got me all excited, but
calm down there.
I'm tempered now because bureaucracy is going to have to get involved and now I'm starting to read the other side. So I'm tempering my excitement. But as a fanboy, as a big fan of soccer, if the MLS comes to Detroit, I'm all in. And that's just my initial fan reaction. I love soccer. I watched it. Now all credit to Leicester City. They're a team that came from the depths of like lower league soccer to win it all. They won the Premier League, and if you're a big soccer guy, you know that you're not guaranteed a spot.
5,000 to 1 odds.
5,000 to 1 odds. So you know MLS in Detroit is going to succeed, but I think they're building a too big a stadium. 25,000 is something that's I think is a little too big. I think they would have done better to go between 13 and 16 consistently, but hey, go big or go home. And the drawings were effing amazing. I was like, oh my God, dude, I can't wait to sit in there. But then you go into the whole like, well, should these businessmen really invest like this, and who's going to pay for it, and all that kind of stuff that kind of takes the luster out of it. But I want them to do it so bad because it's a fun environment. It's a fun thing, and I'm a big soccer nut, so I would enjoy it. I would love it. But at the expense of taxpayers floating the bill for another stadium, I'm not all for it. So if we can figure out a way for the billionaires to actually just fork over their money, I get their point of view. Like, hey, if you're going to give me a couple $100 million to help me, I would do it. I'd take it. But I'm not sure on that front with Detroit and their struggles now with the school problems. That's a whole other issue. But just my initial reaction, I'm very happy.
The big thing, though, about that issue is if you had the jail, it's not paying anything. You're not paying taxes on the jail. You build this stadium, and it's not just gonna be an MLS stadium. It's gonna be a whole entertainment like area. It's similar to what they're doing with Little Caesars Arena, and they're creating the district. And from the drawings, it looked beautiful, and I think that would really be kind of the finishing piece for that downtown area, because right now, what Dan Gilbert's done, he's really built from Campus Martius, where he moved Quicken Loans down, and he's bought buildings, he's renovated. You know, he has this gigantic parking structure that's right up there, and I know that he was just approved to build a building on the old Hudson site, and you build that Hudson site with the new Joe Louis Arena. And if you bring this MLS where the failed jail is right now, the failed jail is just it's an eyesore. It's more blight for Detroit. And you knock that down, you bring in this amazing stadium, people are gonna want to come downtown.
See, the problem is though, all the economists and the facts say that all these stadiums don't actually help businesses; they actually drive them away. So, and these economists are kind of voicing their opinions a lot more nowadays.
What businesses are you driving away?
Well, the reason why is that
is the city would they have been able to attract a store like Nike to come downtown?
Well, that's the other side of the argument is that people come down, but they come for the stadiums and then they leave. Whereas if you have more infrastructure, then you have a situation where people will actually go to the bars and actually watch the games. So in that situation, you're going to have a lot of congestion. You're going to have 4 to 5 arenas relatively close. So are people going to actually go to a soccer match, then go down to a bar and stay after? That's going to be a long evening. So, you know, what you're doing is kind of also, the issue is though cost versus what you're actually getting back. So are people going to actually flood downtown? What really has to happen, and what these economists are saying is, it's not stadiums that bring in money, it's property tax revenue that will actually bring in money for the city. So because the city might have to float the bill for, you know, let's say $20 million. Is that going to actually be drawn in over time? Economists say no. So that's what people are kind of talking about. But, you know, that's all stuff to be debated and looked at when you look at it. But I'm just, outside of that, I'm a big soccer fan.
The train's moving. I don't
think it's going to happen, I think.
When you have Tom Gores and Dan Gilbert behind this, you're not, and you have MLS saying that Detroit is essentially number one on a list of teams to get a new expansion team. It's not a matter of.
Would you go? Would you go?
I would. I'm not
Once
saying
in a while?
that I'm not going to buy season tickets because I'm not that kind of guy. I don't have that kind of.
Once in a while, you go.
I don't have that kind of income.
Yeah,
to
we'll
buy
get there.
season
We'll get you there.
tickets.
We'll get you there.
Yeah, thanks. But I would definitely go. I go down to see the DCFC games.
Exactly.
Which those are much more affordable, and I know that they aren't really happy about the whole MLS.
No, they're happy. They just want to make sure that the team embraces the city and actually stays in the community like the City FC. They have a lot of community rallies. They do work for charities. They just want to make sure the MLS is not just here for a profit and not worry about the other type stuff. It's a community.
I get the team, and I think the club is like that. I think the supporters are a little bit more vindictive, though. Because from what I've read on their Facebook posts, the Northern Guard supporters, they're a great organization, but I think I don't know, they're just too mean-spirited about that.
Bottom line, you think MLS, if they come here, will succeed? Because you're starting to hear rumors, too, that teams like Houston and some other lower teams are kind of giving away tickets that they're not financially viable, too, because you have to make it where, like you and I are diehards. You throw a sporting event new, we're going to peek in and watch it and follow it. But the average fan, I think there's enough, but I don't know if there's going to be 20, 25,000 consistently where they're going to want to pay. If you build a winner fast, people will get into it. But I don't want to see a situation where they actually bring it and then take it away because it loses support. That would suck.
And I think it's gonna take some time. I think
will soccer work for the everyday fan here in Metro Detroit, not the diehards? Are there 18,000 to 25,000 diehards?
If they keep the prices affordable, I think people will go.
What's affordable, you think?
I think if you have
$20, $25 for reasonable seats.
I think for reasonable seats, I think anywhere from like $20 to $30. I think for like in the upper sections, $20-$30.
It's fair, right?
It's fair.
Okay.
As long as you're not charging NFL prices,
yeah,
you're not charging $50-$60 for nosebleeds.
The renderings are awesome.
It looks awesome. Of course, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. So then, quickly, thumbs up, thumbs down, Little Caesars Arena.
I'm very indifferent. I just want them to play hockey, and I want them to be competitive again.
I hate the feeling of bait and switch. They promised me LED lights. I wanted to work my butt off and earn the Detroit Sports Podcast logo on those LED lights at the top of the arena. But now Tom Wilson came out and said, "Listen, guys, pump the brakes. It was only a rendering. It wasn't going to happen." I was like, "What?" That memo was last on my list. I never saw that. But Little Caesars, obviously, naming rights, 20 years. They're going to pay $6.5 million. Nice little circle logo. What are you going to do? Not surprising. I don't like
really
the name.
Care. It's not the best name in the world.
It's not the best logo either.
I don't think people are going to say, "Hey, let's go down to the Little Caesars Arena." How many times did you say Joe Louis Arena? It rolls off the tongue better, but a lot of times you just shorten it. I'm going down to the JLA or going down to the Joe. I think it's the same thing is going to happen. I think you're going to hear a lot of people say going down to the LCA. And I think in my opinion, if you wanted to call it Little Caesars Arena, I think it would have been better to abbreviate it. Kind of like how they do in Boston, they have the TD Gardens. I think the LCA or the LC Arena would have been better.
Yeah,
but I don't care. I just want them to win. Looking at the NHL playoffs and looking at the teams that they're rolling out, that the Blues, that the Sharks, that the Ducks are rolling out, they have so many better players on their teams. That's what I'd rather them be focusing on right now. I don't care that it's Little Caesars Arena. I want them to see. I want to win a playoff series for once.
Put together a team, and I'm still raising my expectations. Mr. Kenny Holland's not telling me to relax. I'm now even more passionate and crazy than I was before, to coming out after a press conference telling me to calm my expectations. You kidding me? Can't build a podcast network if you calm your expectations. Get back to it. Grind. Get these guys. Let's see what happens if they change up the philosophy with these Detroit Red Wings. All right, sir.
I think that's going to do it for this episode. Next week I want to touch more on Pistons. Obviously, they lost their playoff series, but I think they're heading in the exact right direction. SVG has them going. They're eventually going to be a championship contender, but how long is that going to take? I think we'll look at that next week.
Every Tuesday, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Please support us. We appreciate it. The 7 podcasts that we're rolling out, we're really trying to put out podcasts every single day. We have what we believe to be a premier Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. Most interactive. We read every tweet. We definitely try to interact, have a good time, keep it light, and keep it sarcastic, which is how we like it. And we can't do it without your support. So thank you for downloading all the podcasts, from the Hindsight 20 to Tigers Talk to the Motor City Sports Rant to Doc and Jock to Count That Baby and the Foul to the Fantasy Nerds to
the Vinny Stubbs Show.
The Vinny Stubbs Show, the one-on-one interview specials. We absolutely love doing these podcasts, and it's a fun thing. Check out our sponsor page at DetroitSportsPodcast.com. We'll see everybody next week.
Later, guys.
Okay, nice, idiot. You. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.